you're planning date night, or in my case, preparing for a second child, and he's planning his exit. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Josie, the host of the From Devastated to Divorced podcast and a separation survival specialist. And I want to talk about something that I feel many of us women who have just been blindsided by an unwanted separation don't realize. Your partner is checking out. While you're living your life in this relationship, while you are taking care of things that need to be taken care of, while you're planning date nights and maybe your next vacation, or like I said, in my situation, planning how to move forward on starting for that second child, in his mind, he's planning to leave. And that is super frustrating because they are taking advantage of your support while they're working through the emotions of deciding to leave you. But you have no idea that that's even happening. You are blissfully unaware, living your life, doing what needs to be done, maybe putting up with crap that you don't want to put up with for the sake of your family, while he is working on leaving you. While you're here washing his underwear, cooking him dinner, sleeping in his bed, because yes, trust me, even if they're thinking about leaving you, they'll sleep with you. They'll take that sex. Don't confuse having sex, being intimate, with your relationship being strong. Because for many, I'm not saying all, but for many men, they can separate that. They can feel like, I don't love you anymore. I don't love you like I did when we were met, when we first got together. The feelings are not the same. I'm not attracted to you, blah, blah, blah. But they will still get in bed with you, zero problem. So keep that in mind. Having sex, being intimate is not 100% sign that things are okay. So in my situation, my relationship with my ex was not great. I knew this. I understood this, but I had made a commitment and I'm sticking with it, even if I'm not super happy. But one thing I did want was another child. We had a son super early in our relationship. And then it was like 7 years later and I still hadn't had another child, and I always wanted a daughter. So I spoke to him and I said, I want to have another child. I want us to start for another child. And he's like, okay, cool. So he said, let's push it off until February. We may have talked in like November, December. And he's like, all right, February. Let's talk in February. So I'm like, cool. I can wait till February. What's a few more months? Living life, doing things, this and that and the other. February comes along. I'm like, hey, it's February. Let's start. And instead he says, you know what? I want a break instead. His words, a break. So forget about the baby. Forget about my daughter. Blindsided by a separation. What was the term? I love you. I'm just not in love with you. I need to discover myself. I'm just not happy. All of those things. But while I'm in my head preparing for what our next future steps are together, he was over here planning his exit, finding the strength to tell me that he's done, and mentally preparing himself for this while he is using me and our family as that support. So the reason that I want to bring this up is because when you're in the beginning stages of this separation, and you are like shell-shocked and in pain and like you don't know what way is up, and you look over at him and you're like, why the hell is he so fine about this? Why is it okay? Why doesn't he care? Why doesn't he react? It's because he was doing the work already with you there. You just didn't see it. You just didn't know. He didn't confide in you or tell you, this is what I'm working through. No, he just did his work while you're there with your support there. And then when he tells you, he's already a few months ahead of you in the coming to terms with it, in the emotional turmoil that it might have brought him. He's already passed a lot of that. So you think he's fine but you just didn't notice or realize what he was going through. Now, to be clear, some of them are fine. Some of them might flip a switch and say, I don't want to be with her anymore, and there's no work needed. Cool, I'm done. But even in those instances, they're not communicating with you about it, and they're doing it with you there. So I was really upset when I realized that, obviously, because I'm like, I'm not going to say there was no warning. And maybe when you analyze back, you'll say, oh, yeah, there were signs. Of course, there are signs. When your relationship is to the point that it's going to end, there are signs. But if you listen to chapter 1 of my 5-chapter methodology, you could be blissfully aware that there is a problem because you're too busy doing stuff in your life, or you're subconsciously aware. I was subconsciously aware that things weren't great, but I kept it under the rug. I just didn't want to look at it because what was the option anyway? I married in front of the church and God and said, till death do us part. So it doesn't matter how bad things were. This was my life. But even so, of course, you aren't clear that things are going this bad or that he's really that in his head, making this really important life-altering decision. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that if you are in the separation phase already, chapter 2 of my 5-chapter methodology, blindsided and devastated by him asking you for a separation or divorce, and you see him perfectly fine out there, this is why. It's not that he doesn't love you or that he didn't love you or that it's so easy for him. It's not. He went through some of the process. Obviously, it's different when you are the dumper versus the dumpy, and I'm going to talk about that in another episode. But still, he went through some of the process. You just didn't recognize it. He just did it while you were there as a comfort to him. So that's why I think it's important that you analyze what's going on in your relationship, that you open your eyes and that you do the very hard thing of finding out what is going on in my marriage. Where are we? But you have to be prepared that you might not like the answer. But I promise that even if you don't like the answer, it's going to make the process a lot easier than if you just get blindsided by a request. If you kind of know where you're heading and that it's coming, I think that it's not going to hurt less because, of course, you probably are not in a position that you want the marriage to end. So it's going to hurt, but your eyes are going to be more open. And hey, to be honest, you could be thinking, holy shit, great. He wants it to be over. I don't have to do it because I wouldn't have done it because my religion or my culture or whatever. But if he's ready to go, amen. So if you want to know more about my 5 chapters to surviving a separation methodology, there's information below. Check that out. And if you don't know where you are on your journey, check out the free checklist so you can take the little quiz and see where you are. All right, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.